I am a trade unionist. I was formerly an organiser in a trade union, and I'm very proud to be a member of a union and proud of the close relationship between my party, the Labour Party, and organised labour in Britain. I believe that is a strength, not a weakness, not an embarrassment. It's fundamental to what we believe in. These floods, these storms, are consistent with scientific warnings of the effect of global warming, of unpredictable storms that will happen in Britain, as indeed will happen in many other parts of the world. But I think we should just pause for one moment to recognise that when a major disaster happens anywhere in the world, a fire, an earthquake, a typhoon, a tsunami, or flooding and unpredictable storms, who helps people? Who helps support people? Who helps to put out the fires, pump out the homes, and all the other things? It's the firefighters, the police, the emergency services, and sometimes the armed forces. In other words, it is the public sector workers who are actually there to help out. Privatisation of public services is not a solution to these issues. We cannot just allow the rich and the powerful to get hold of all the world's natural resources and further impoverish the poorest because of climate change, because of environmental destruction. If this goes on, there's going to be a world where millions become refugees, forced to leave their homes to try and seek a survival and hopefully, from their point of view, a better life. Many unsafe in their own homes through flooding, drought, or war. Others will seek to escape just because they can no longer survive. These issues have to be addressed. They're not solved by barbed wire fences around the richest countries and the richest continents of the world. They're solved by addressing the issues that caused the refugee flow in the first place. Don't blame the victims. Ask again what governments can do. We want a world where governments shape rules which promote public goods, where governments protect the ultimate public good of a stable climate in which humanity can survive and prosper. To do that, we need a state, a government that invests, an entrepreneurial state which does not wage war with markets but shapes them. All too often, we forget that it is rules set out by the state which allows markets to flourish. We need to think very carefully about that and the effect that has on the environment. We need carbon budgeting to be the centrepiece of trade and commerce, including in trade treaties and trade agreements. That budgeting must have reducing thresholds that take the planet back to sustainable levels of carbon dioxide emissions. We want to start by democratising energy. Germany is a good example on this. In 7 years, Germany has turned an energy market dominated by just 4 big corporations into one in which 2 million citizens are suppliers, and 190 towns and cities taking their local grids into democratic social ownership. A democratization of energy creates new and secure jobs for the many. 3/4 of all jobs in Germany's energy transition are now involved in turning homes into energy zero buildings. The perfect circle: clean air, clean environment, democracy in the way you produce it, and more jobs and more development as a result of creating a better, cleaner, safer environment. That surely is the world that we want to live in. How do we get there to this world which is sustainable, that does defend and protect our environment, that does understand the limits of what we do? A just transition for workers is the first point, because climate change has to address the fact, we as activists in climate change have to address the fact that the effects of it don't fall evenly on everybody. And in creating a cleaner economy, jobs must not be axed, and working families must not be penalised as a result of it. That requires an interventionist approach by government that is prepared to protect the living standards of people as they convert to, a more sustainable economy. So we have to be inclusive in environmental politics of working people organised through trade unions. This is as much a trade union and a working class issue as any other issue that we face in our lives. So we must use technology to improve things. By using good technology, we can create well-paid and secure jobs for the future. We can develop industries that don't pollute, and we can also protect those that are in industries that are polluting as they transit towards a more sustainable future. Don't allow workers to be blamed for pollution. Sort it out and recognise those that cause the pollution are those that are actually been making the most money out of it for a very long time. Governments must invest in the skills and technologies we need to take advantage of the millions of new jobs that a low-carbon sector can create. Governments all over the world must not only commit public investment to clean energy, but channel private investment into it too. They must use the whole policy framework to direct investment and shape markets. It's about democratising energy. I've talked about towns and cities, activists and trade unionists coming together, shaping tomorrow's future. As Naomi so often emphasised, governments have a duty to achieve and secure our common good. There is no greater common good than preserving the natural world on which we depend. The idea that you live in a totally individual state with the total privatisation of all public services and there's no public buy-in or public control or democratic accountability at all, you're not going to deal with these problems. It does require government intervention. It does require public ownership. It does not get improved by privatisation and all that goes with that. And neither does it get helped by the way in which public service workers are increasingly under threat. It's very interesting when politicians think they can get away with privatising public services. They're first on the scene to thank the nurses, thank the firefighters, thank the police, or thank anybody else to hand, at the same time threatening them with their jobs and threatening them with privatisation. No, we need to embrace and understand the loyalty and dedication of so many public service workers in health, in environment, in firefighting, and all those things. They're the ones that keep us safe. They're the ones that have a real say. Well done, the campaign of the New York nurses, on what you achieved on environmental protection.